Okay, ready?
We are live.
Okay. All right, everyone. Here we are with a car this time. This is Miguel's 1987 Mark II Jetta two-door sedan, Wolfsburg Edition. This is take two because I stumped Miguel with the very first question of the interview, which was, how long have you had the car for?
I was going to say 7 because I honestly thought it was 7, but it's actually over 10 years at this point.
Yeah, that's a decade. That's a long time.
That's surprising. I feel real old all of a sudden.
Right? So how did you find this thing? And why did you buy it?
So I had a Mark IV wagon at the time, lowered Corvette wheels, 2-point slow, coilovers, daily driver, and I had that car for a couple of years, and I was already starting to get bored of it. So I was just was on Craigslist because Craigslist was still popular. Mm-hmm. Just browsing, and then this thing popped up, and my very first Volkswagen was it was either an 86 or an 87 coupe in gray, small bumper as well, of course. So I always wanted a coupe. At the time, I owned a 90 Jetta GLI.
16 valve.
Because it was a U.S. import.
16
valve, fully built engine, exhaust, transmission, had LSD, poly bushings, fun car, real rough. Body was kind of rough. And I wanted to basically replace the Mark IV wagon daily. So I saw this and was like, okay, I guess I could daily a Mark II again. I did it back in the day. Let's do it again. So I went to check the car, and it was a gentleman who had an interesting collection of cars. Like he had a 240Z, had a Lincoln. What are they called? Those Continentals with the suicide doors.
Yeah, mid 60s Continental.
Yeah, and he had some other 70s big body GM cars, and then he daily drove this coupe.
Long time owner, yeah?
Long time. He was the second owner, and he bought it when it was 1 or 2 years old. So he daily drove it. Really good shape. He had like a Mark I Cabrio wheels on it, the ones that kind of look like flowers. So the Pirelli P-slots were long gone by then.
Oh, on this car, yeah.
Yeah. Still had the original small bumpers with the red stripe. Basically, he was liquidating his collection because he had all these cars parked in different underground parking lots in Vancouver. He was in Kerrisdale area, but he had cars all over. So I remember going down to the garage to check this car out and expecting a so-so car. And it came around the corner, and it was
shiny.
Not only was it shiny, it had this presence. It was this was a good car. I knew immediately, as soon as I saw it, I was going to buy it. This was the car to buy. And he also didn't want too much for it. I think he wanted 45, maybe 4, and I got it somewhere in the 3,000 something mark.
That was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago, of course. So I bought the car, and I was going to daily it. But as I started working on it, doing the coilovers and wheels, I decided this car is far too good to destroy, becoming a daily driver, winter duties, etc., etc. I decided to actually sell the 16 valve, which was a fantastic car to drive, but it was, like I said, it was rough. It needed a lot of body work. Car wasn't good for daily use. So I decided this car was going to replace it. As I was working on it, I decided, okay, let's try collector plates as well, because the car was that good. And it got approved. And so the journey began with doing period mods.
You mentioned earlier that when you bought the car, you had to take it through air care.
Oh, yes.
That's a blast from the past.
I think, and don't quote me, but I think that was the very last year of doing the air care, which was the emissions testing in British Columbia.
Yeah. Annual,
of course. And she passed right away. The car was, like I said, the guy took real good care of it. He gave me, a huge binder of receipts. Yeah.
You mentioned Pirelli in that description of the cars. So yeah, these cars are sometimes referred to as the Pirelli Edition Jettas because they came with the 14-inch Pirelli P-slot wheels from the factory. So along with these, in 1987, technically they called them 87 and a half. And then in 1986, there was a four-door sedan with the Pirelli wheels.
That's right.
So they both are sometimes referred to as Jetta Pirellis, but that's not an official name for the car. They were Wolfsburg Editions. And another interesting thing is Wolfsburg Edition is a very misused term, especially when it comes to Jettas. You've got that badge on the fender over there, that white circle badge that says Wolfsburg Edition, which denotes the car to be so. Lots of people assume that their Jettas are Wolfsburg Editions because all Jettas have a badge on the fender,
That's right.
but it's normally a square badge that has the Wolfsburg crest on it, but it doesn't say anything. And people see that and assume, oh, look, it's a Wolfsburg Edition. It's got the Wolfsburg crest. No. It's only a Wolfsburg Edition if it says Wolfsburg Edition on a circular badge, and they're actually quite scarce. I'm actually not aware of anybody I've never seen another one, actually, to tell you the truth, in person that was an 87 and a half Wolfsburg Edition coupe. I don't think I've seen another one in person. I've seen a few photos online of a couple other ones, but
Same.
I don't think I've seen another one. They're unique for several reasons. They've got, they look like a GTI, right? So it's got the red stripe bumpers, even though you've added European ones, but
Still,
regardless, they all have the red stripe striped trim on the side, black headliner. It's got a unique upholstery, a red dot unique upholstery that was unique for this model only. Of course, it's got the deep chin spoiler, the deck lid spoiler. So basically, it is basically a Jetta GTI, which is also interesting because Volkswagen never really made a performance Jetta two-door version because they didn't want to take sales away from the GTI. So you had your four-door Jetta in the Mark II. You had your four-door Jetta GLI, which was an alternative because if someone's buying a sedan, then they're not really cross-shopping a GTI, so that was okay. So they made the 16-valve, the performance sedan. But they never made a 16-valve two-door Jetta, and they never really made any performance two-door Jetta. This is as close as it got. The Canadian version is quite different from the US version. Aesthetically, they look almost the same, save for a few small differences.
American cars had painted mirror caps.
Yeah. So
But the exterior is basically
so they had
exactly
painted
the same.
mirror caps, body color match. Other than that, exterior-wise and interior-wise, they're identical, I think. I'm not sure if the US car had black headliner or not.
I think it did.
And did it have
think it
headrests
did.
in the back?
I don't know.
But mostly
I
the
don't
same.
know. But it had rear discs
Yeah, so mechanically...
with ABS.
Yeah, so mechanically, the US version is actually a much better car. So mechanically, they had rear disc brakes, where this does not, and it had the RD high compression 8-valve engine and close ratio transmission, exactly the same as a GTI. So this is the only car, the 87 and a half Wolfsburg Edition is the only two-door Jetta that's actually a performance version. The Canadian car was watered down. It doesn't have a high compression 8-valve and it doesn't have the close ratio, just the same engine and transmission as all the other Jettas were. But still, this is about as close as it gets to a performance Jetta coupe. Pretty cool car. And rare. You don't see them around.
No.
So after you bought it,
No.
you said you put coilovers on it, and then what'd you do?
I did coils, I did the wheels. I then took the seats. It had the typical flat Mark II, big high seats. So I took those seats apart, and I had a local upholstery shop transfer the fabric, the inners, to a set of Power Recaros from a GTI 16-valve. And then all the bolsters were covered in gray vinyl to match. So when you look at this interior, you'd swear that it's factory because everything is
Matching.
color match exactly the way it is. I mean, it's got the original fabric in the inside of the seats. What else? And then slowly I started collecting all these period mods, like the wind splitters.
On the fenders?
Yeah, on the fenders. They're supposed to be on the fenders, not on the hood. The scoop on the hood, the reproduction carbon heck blend on the tailgate. What else?
Sun visors.
Oh yes, the big smoking visors.
Smoking visors.
I've got an old school OEM option for Volkswagen Canada, Stebro exhaust.
That's pretty cool.
Cat back. And then just, little bits here and there, Momo steering wheel, different shift knob.
European headlights.
European headlamps, European bumpers with just like a simple, that's literally just a pinstripe decal. It's been on there for 10 years.
On the bumpers, you're talking about the red stripe?
On the bumpers, yeah. And it still looks fresh. The Wolfsburg badges are actually supposed to be black from factory, but I never found a pair, so I put on good white ones.
Were they missing when you bought the car?
No, they were completely cracked. So you could barely tell what they said. So this is the best that I could do.
They look really good.
I didn't want to go with cheap pre-production ones, so I've just got the OEM white ones.
Avoid it if you can, yeah.
Yeah. Autobahn option, mud flaps.
Under the hood, it's fairly stock. You've got ABD cold air intake pipe. Other than that, it's pretty much original.
It just has like a mild cam. I can't remember what spec or what brand.
Did you put it in?
I put it in a long time ago. It was just something that I had kicking around.
Has the car given you any trouble?
No, it's gave me one issue. Just I threw a serpentine belt, and the engine overheated a little bit on the highway, but pulled over, went to an AutoZone or...
This is when we went to Tacoma last year?
Yeah, on the way back from Old School Reunion.
Mm-hmm.
Stopped at O'Reilly's. Stopped at O'Reilly's, just got a $6 belt, threw it back on, and kept on going. And
that was a good trip. So basically, we went out there. We drove to Tacoma last year, Old School Reunion. It's a 70s, 80s retro car show, Japanese and European. Very cool. And we took this Jetta, we took my Jetta, my 89 Jetta.
No, sorry, that was coming back from Radwood.
Was that Radwood?
Yeah, because old school I took the Mark 1.
This was Radwood.
So this was actually Radwood.
Yes, it was.
Which is almost the same as what you're talking
right,
about.
Right, so 80s and 90s show. Right, so we were coming back, but same area, also Tacoma. We're coming back from Radwood. But yes, this car, my car, our friend Steve with his 86 Corolla, and Mike came out with his Yellow Rabbit.
That's right.
And Rob came out with his Jetta Coupe as well.
That's right.
Every single car on that trip had a hiccup of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
Yours was the belt. My car had an overheating automatic starter. I had some trouble starting it up a few times.
That's right.
Mike ended up having a small coolant leak when he got home. No big deal. Rob had a serious tire issue.
Yeah.
And the Toyota had some fueling issues as well. So every single car on that cruise, on that drive, on that weekend had an issue, but nothing that stopped anybody in their tracks. All the cars drove home at the end of the day. And that's the best part of owning these cars for me. Is these type of adventures and memories you create by using the cars.
And that's the best. Doesn't stop us from going out to these long drives either.
No, and I've had cars towed home.
Yeah.
Oh, I've towed cars home from Seattle. Halfway home, I've had, I had a tire blow on me one time, and I didn't have a spare in the evening time coming back from a show way back when on the 405, which was like in Seattle. One of our friends drove me home to Metrotown. We grabbed the tire, went back to Seattle, put it on, and drove the car home.
Wow.
So yeah, there's endless stories, but it's great, fantastic memories, and that's the best part of having these cars, and that's why we put on the cruises that we do, because using them is just this is what it's about. So what's your favorite part about the car?
That it's the same. That it's a early coupe. The same Volkswagen, my very first Volkswagen that I ever owned. Right.
The familiarity. So it's very similar to what you started out in.
That's right. Yeah. Also, it's red. My absolute favorite color for cars. When I was a kid, I had a poster of a Ferrari F40, not a Countach, in my bedroom. And I loved the color. I loved how square it was. And I loved the thick 5-spoke wheels. So when I bought this car, these wheels were destined for it. Actually, I actually had these wheels a long time before I even bought this car. They were just sitting in boxes. I bought it from a guy on Vortex and from Pennsylvania. I always knew I was going to run these wheels on something. So I finally bought this car. Originally, I had BBS RMs on it. The car looked absolutely fantastic, but RMs are well overdone.
Wow.
Well overdone.
Just calling people out.
And
eh?
I'd almost use the word I hate BBS mesh wheels.
I feel
yeah, well,
targeted here.
I dislike cleaning them. And I mean, they're classic wheels. Don't get me wrong. The car looked absolutely fantastic with them.
Yeah.
But everybody has them.
So you like these because they remind you of the Ferrari F40
That's
wheels.
right. So this is the really poor man's Ferrari F40.
Okay, well there you have it.
I've got the color, I've got the square lines, and I've got the wheels.
And the turbo and the V8. And the carbon fiber.
Yeah. No carbon, no V8, no turbo.
You got the Momo steering wheel.
I've got the Momo steering wheel.
And a manual gearbox.
Yeah, the Cavallino steering wheel. So that kind of gets me there.
Yeah. What about future plans?
Future plans is engine's tired, so it's going to be pulled out for something relatively modern. That's basically it. The car has looked like this for almost 10 years, and it's going to stay exactly the way it is. I'm happy with it. I might change wheels, temporarily, but this is the way the car is going to stay. Engine compartment will get redone. Exhaust will get redone. It will have to get done. Different transmission. Interior's done. So this is it. This is a car that I built and I haven't changed really.
What else do you want to tell the folks about the car?
I guess
said it all.
This is the favorite car in my collection. It's the car I'll probably keep forever and pass down. Hopefully my son has some interest in cars. That's basically it.
Yeah, I think
There's
that
not much
covers
else to say. I look forward to continuing these videos.
Yeah.
We'll get some other local guys here to feature their cars as well. Just simple little videos.
Yeah, I think that's
Tell us a
great.
Story.
It's a nice car. I always love hearing stories of long-term ownership and use. These cars, and I've got a few myself that aren't used, and it's not a good thing. So as long as the cars are driven frequently, they tend to survive in much better condition. And yeah, so you've been a loving, caring owner of this car, and I'm sure you're going to keep it for, like you said, the foreseeable future. And we'll go on some more drives.
Yeah.
All
Perfect.
right.
Sounds good.
Thanks for watching.
Okay.
See you in the next one. Good. How much time was that? I don't know. Oh, it was over 20 minutes. That's good. Oh, I think it was just over 20 minutes.